Welcome to our channel where we dive into the darkest corners of reality. Are you brave enough to join us? Tonight we're venturing into the heart of terror. Today we bring you 3 of the creepiest true horror stories that will send shivers down your spine. Stories whispered in hushed tones, passed down through generations. Turn down the lights, turn up the volume, and prepare to be terrified. Our first story takes place in a seemingly ordinary hotel room, but what happened there is anything but ordinary. This room, with its unassuming decor and typical amenities, hides a sinister secret that has left many guests shaken to their core. Imagine this. You check into a hotel, unaware of the horrors that await. The lobby is warm and welcoming, the staff friendly and accommodating, giving no hint of the terror that lies ahead. Room 104, once a sanctuary for weary travellers, now stands as a chilling testament to the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of the mundane. Its walls have witnessed unspeakable events, and its air is thick with an unsettling energy.
Our story begins with a young couple, eager to begin their honeymoon. They were full of hope and excitement, looking forward to a romantic getaway that would mark the beginning of their new life together. They chose this hotel for its charm, its quaint facade whispering promises of romantic getaways. The picturesque setting seemed perfect, a dream come true for the newlyweds. Little did they know they were stepping into a nightmare. The room, though beautiful at first glance, held a darkness that would soon reveal itself. From the moment they crossed the threshold, a sense of unease washed over them. The air felt heavy, and an inexplicable chill ran down their spines. The temperature plummeted, the air growing heavy with an unseen presence. It was as if the room itself was alive, watching their every move.
The first night their sleep was disturbed by strange noises, disembodied whispers, the scraping of furniture, the feeling of being watched. Every creak and groan of the building seemed amplified, echoing through the darkness. Each sound chipped away at their composure, replacing it with a creeping dread. The shadows seemed to move on their own, creating an atmosphere of constant fear. The whispers grew louder, more insistent, seeming to coil around their sanity. It was as if the room was trying to communicate, to tell them something they couldn't understand.
One night, the husband awoke to a blood-curdling scream. His heart raced as he tried to make sense of the terror that had jolted him from his sleep. His wife sat upright in bed, her eyes wide with terror, staring at the foot of the bed. She was paralyzed with fear, unable to look away from the darkness that seemed to gather there. "It was him," she whispered, her voice trembling with fear. He was here. The word sent a shiver down his spine, confirming his worst fears. The next morning, they packed their bags, desperate to escape the clutches of room 104. Their dream honeymoon had turned into a nightmare they couldn't wait to leave behind.
The hotel staff, accustomed to the tales of room 104, offered little comfort. They had heard it all before, the same stories of terror and despair. They spoke of a tragic incident years ago, a man driven to madness within those very walls. His spirit, they said, still lingered, unable to find peace. Over the years, countless guests have reported similar experiences. The room seemed to have a life of its own, feeding off the fear of those who stayed there. The hotel, desperate to salvage its reputation, attempted to cleanse the room, but to no avail. Every effort to rid the room of its dark presence ended in failure. And so, the room remained, a chilling reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of the ordinary. It stands as a testament to the unknown, a place where the line between reality and nightmare blurs. Next, we delve into the chilling account of a family who encountered a sinister presence lurking in their basement. This story is not for the faint of heart, as it explores the thin veil between our world and the unknown. Imagine this. The lights flicker, plunging you into darkness. The air grows cold, and an unsettling silence envelops the room. You hear a noise from downstairs, a soft thud in the silence of the night. It's a sound that sends shivers down your spine. This is the reality that faced the Thompson family, their idyllic life shattered by the presence of an unseen entity in their home. What started as a dream quickly turned into a nightmare.
The Thompson family had just moved into their new home, a beautiful Victorian house with a sense of history. They were drawn to its charm and character. They were filled with the excitement of new beginnings, unaware of the darkness that lurked beneath the surface. The house seemed perfect, but it held secrets. The basement, a cavernous space filled with the remnants of previous occupants, became the epicenter of their nightmare. It was a place they rarely ventured into.
It began subtly, a series of unexplained events that could easily be dismissed as tricks of the mind. But these occurrences were too frequent to ignore. Objects would go missing, only to reappear in strange places. It was as if the house had a mind of its own. Footsteps echoed from the basement when no one was down there. The sound was unmistakable and unnerving. The children swore they saw a shadowy figure lurking at the edge of their vision. It was always just out of clear sight, adding to the terror. The family, initially skeptical, tried to rationalize the strange occurrences. They searched for logical explanations, but found none. But as the days turned into weeks, the events grew increasingly disturbing. The sense of dread became a constant companion.
One evening, the family gathered for dinner, their laughter a feeble attempt to mask the growing tension. The atmosphere was thick with unease. Suddenly, the lights flickered, plunging the room into darkness. The familiar fear gripped them once more. A collective gasp escaped their lips. The darkness seemed to have a life of its own. Then, from the basement, a blood-curdling scream pierced the silence. It was a sound that would haunt them forever. The family froze, their blood turning to ice. The scream was unmistakably that of their youngest daughter, Lily. It was the voice of their youngest daughter, Lily. Her scream was filled with pure terror.
Panic surged through the father as he grabbed a flashlight and raced towards the basement door. His heart pounded in his chest. The stairs creaked ominously under his weight. Each step seemed to echo his growing fear. As he reached the bottom, the flashlight beam revealed a scene that sent shivers down his spine. The basement was more sinister than ever. Lily stood frozen in the middle of the basement, her eyes wide with terror. She was paralyzed by fear.
"Daddy," she whispered. "I saw it. The Shadow Man." Her voice trembled with fear. He rushed to his daughter's side, scooping her into his arms. He tried to comfort her, but his own fear was palpable. He scanned the basement, but there was no sign of an intruder. The shadows seemed to mock him.
From that night forward, the activity intensified. The house seemed to come alive with malevolent energy. Doors slammed shut on their own. The sound echoed through the house, a constant reminder of their plight. Disembodied whispers seemed to emanate from the walls. The voices were unintelligible but filled with malice. The family, their nerves frayed, tried everything to rid their home of the unwelcome presence. They sought help from experts and performed rituals, but nothing seemed to work. The entity's grip on their home tightened with each passing day. The entity, it seemed, was there to stay. Its grip on their home and their sanity tightening with each passing day. The Thompson family was left to wonder if they would ever find peace again. Finally, we recount the terrifying experience of a woman who received a series of disturbing phone calls in the dead of night. These calls were not just a mere nuisance, they were a harrowing ordeal that would leave anyone shaken to their core. Imagine this. The shrill ring of the phone pierces the silence of your room, jolting you awake. The darkness around you feels even more oppressive as you fumble to answer. You answer, but all you hear is a series of heavy breaths, a chilling silence that speaks volumes, the kind of silence that makes your skin crawl and your heart race.
This is where our final story begins, the unsettling tale of Sarah and the Midnight Caller. A story that would haunt her every step, every shadow. I was a young woman living alone, my days filled with the mundane routine of work and solitude. My life was simple, predictable, until the night everything changed. My nights were quiet, almost too quiet, until the calls began. They shattered the peace I had taken for granted. It always started the same way, the shrill ring of the phone, shattering the stillness of the night. Each ring felt like a dagger to my sense of security. Heart pounding, I'd reach for the receiver, a sense of dread coiling in my gut. Silence. The kind of silence that makes you question your own sanity. Then, the breathing would start, slow, deliberate and menacing. Slow, deliberate breaths, each one sending chills down my spine. It was as if the caller knew exactly how to instill fear.
Night after night the calls continued, each one chipping away at her sanity. The relentless nature of the calls left her exhausted and paranoid. Logic told her it was a prank, a cruel joke by someone who knew her number. But the fear was real, and it was consuming her. But deep down, a primal instinct screamed danger. It was an instinct she couldn't ignore.
I tried everything to stop the calls, blocking numbers, changing my routine, anything to find peace. I changed my number, only to have the calls resume a few nights later. It was as if the caller was always one step ahead. The phone company was of no help, their investigations leading to dead ends. Each call felt like a reminder of my helplessness. The police were equally baffled, dismissing my case as a prank. Their lack of action only deepened my despair.
One night the call came, but this time there was a voice on the other end, a voice that would haunt her forever.
"I know where you live," the voice whispered. "I can see you." The words were like ice in my veins. Panic surged through me, my breath catching in my throat. The fear was overwhelming, paralyzing. I slammed the phone down, my hand trembling. The terror was unlike anything I had ever felt.
The calls continued, each one more menacing than the last. Each call a reminder that she was never truly alone. Sarah's once vibrant life had been reduced to a shadow of its former self. The Midnight Caller had taken more than just her peace. He had taken her sense of safety. If you enjoyed these stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more spine-chilling content. We'll be back next week with more tales of horror, exploring the darkest corners of the human experience. Remember, the line between reality and nightmare is thin, and sometimes the most terrifying stories are the ones that are true. Share your own scary stories in the comments below, and who knows, they might be featured in our next video. But be warned, once you step into the shadows with us, there's no turning back. Sleep tight if you dare.